Hi, I'm Eleanor, and welcome to this week's edition of the Intuition Lab. This week, I'm going to be talking about how to take control of your life without being controlling. Sometimes you decide that you need to get it all together in life, but can you do it in a kind and gentle way? So many people embrace getting their life together by turning into basically a bossy bitch, no matter what your sex or gender, right? You think that you have to be like some sort of war general steamrolling over everyone to make things perfect around you before you can get yourself together. But I offer to you that there is a gentler, kinder, more intuitive way of doing this. So, as always, I'm going to invite you to breathe with me and tune into your intuition. And I'm basically going to take you through a series of questions that will help you outline what needs to change and how to go about doing it. So, the first thing that you need to know is what actually needs to happen in your life. Where are the fault lines? What's working? What isn't? Quite often, we think we need to change everything when often a few key tweaks can get us to where we really need to be. If it helps, write down a list of things you need to work on and look at them if you're having trouble coming up with things. What do you feel more of a draw to? This point in my life, I'm drawn to work on my fitness, my business, and to continue the decluttering I really feel drawn to do. I really feel like I need to get rid of a lot of physical stuff in my life, not because I'm going to move or anything, but just because I don't feel that things in my immediate environment serve me anymore, and they might be better served by being given to people who can use them. So, once you've taken a look at the things you need to work on and you know what resonates with you, it's also helpful to look at where, what, or who triggers you in life. I might be working on my fitness, but I have never been triggered by people who are really in shape. In fact, they inspire me. But I am triggered by other things, like people who are ungrateful, people who've been given things that have not come easily to me, like family, close relationships, and they don't appreciate them. So look at your triggers because they're a great in to what needs to change in your life. Why are you so jealous of that person? Why does something upset you? Is it the nature of the thing or because it just sort of gets under your skin? And here's where intuition can come in. If you are triggered, you can tune in and ask, is this about me or is it just the principle of the thing? And be very honest with yourself. Next, we're going to talk about who's responsible for making something happen. And, shortcut, it's probably you. You are the one responsible. But don't be afraid to hand back what isn't yours. Quite often, when we feel that we need to get angry and take charge, it's because we have been betraying ourselves in some way. We have been handing our responsibility for things like our happiness over to other people and taking on responsibility for things that really is not our concern. Even young family members, unless they're babies in arms, can do some things for themselves, right? Grown adults, doubly so, unless that person is really and truly incapacitated in some way. Um, don't keep taking responsibility for making things happen in other people's lives. It's up to you. But it is really good to take a look at the areas of your life where you want to make a change and ask yourself, who is responsible for this change? Like with my decluttering, well, a good bit of the stuff is mine, but there's also stuff that's my husband's. And in the past, I probably would have tried to bug him to get rid of things, to get rid of some of his stuff, myself, which is not right without his consent. But I've just decided to take charge of getting rid of things for me. And quite often I find that when I start decluttering, my husband will start decluttering his stuff as well. Next, feeding into that, what is really within your control? So to this, I will be a bit paradoxical and say more than you think and less than you should try to manage. So, what is within your control? What you think, what you consume largely, unless you're in a position where other people are literally buying the food for you, and even then you can control usually what you eat. You can control what you allow in terms of content you consume, like the doom scrolling. If you look at something and you feel that it's making you angry, upset, or frightened, you can stop looking at it, right? It sounds simple, but how often do we sort of torture ourselves by continuing to consume things, substances, media that really isn't in our best interest? That's in your control. Your thoughts are under your control. Your outlook on life is under your control. Your dreams and ambitions are under your control, right? You can control you. What's not in your control? Well, if you've been taking on other burdens, like I just spoke about, that is not within your control. If someone, you can't control others' feelings. It's not an excuse to go out and run roughshod over other people and hurt them, but it's not, if you are acting in integrity, it is not up to you to manage other people's feelings, perceptions. People are going to feel the way they feel, especially and even those closest to us, right? Um, you should not try and manage other people's feelings. Focus on your own. You cannot control other people. And I know it's hard, especially if someone is actively self-harming through addiction or just not acting in their own best interest, right? You can't control that. The best you can do is to sort of inoculate yourself against the drama by building yourself up as much as you can. So, taking good care of your body, getting enough sleep, maybe taking supplements if you need to, eating right, getting exercise, drinking enough water. You can control that. You can also have a spiritual practice which helps to strengthen and nurture and boost you from within. So I would recommend that you look up my episode about grounding, shielding, and shedding and energetic protection, anything along those lines. It's really great to rid yourself of other people's energy because quite often when bits of their energy are stuck to us, we think it's ours and we think it's something that we need to manage, and we don't. So even if you have a little child, like a toddler, um, or any young child, but especially children under the age of 7, the age of reason, which I happen to believe is a pretty accurate measurement of when I think a child fully steps into their full consciousness of their personhood instead of just like I am a gentle being having this experience, right? You can guide them and direct them, but they are their own person. I think children are born with a will of their own, right? They aren't truly blank slates. And, the best you can do is guide them, but you can't control them. You can create an environment of discipline and love and respect, but that's more nurturing and guidance. And I'm not talking about gentle parenting. I have my own issues with that. I don't have children, but I see it around me. Um, Think of yourself as a kind caretaker who's setting them up for success in the world that we live in and the world to come. So that's my little aside. But you can't control other people. You can only control yourself. So if it is, okay, this house is a mess, what can I control? You can control what you do, right? You can't control someone else just throwing their stuff. You can make requests, but ultimately people are going to do what they're going to do. But what you can do is tackle your own stuff. Have a plan for cleaning up the kitchen. That's my big thing, right? Um, Control what you can, let others do the rest because it's really their stuff. Next, attitude is everything. Quite often, a take charge, which a nasty attitude is a sign that you've self-abandoned. And I think I mentioned this before. You've probably made sacrifices no one asked you to, or no one insisted on you doing these things. You took the burden on yourself without asking for the help you really needed. There is no cause for martyrdom, but there's also no cause into staying angry. Anger can motivate us to begin with, but ultimately, it's like a forest fire, right? Sometimes you need periods of controlled burn to mitigate, the undergrowth that would lead to catastrophic fires. But if it just kept burning, it would be a disaster. And it's the truth. Sometimes you need to take charge, but you can be firm but kind, right? Your attitude is, okay, I am making these changes. I'm getting myself together. I am focusing on me, you know, not on my way or the highway approach, but I'm focusing on me. If it's something you can do, like another person or a situation, if it's something they can join you in, that's great. But if not, you're just doing it for you. And I am generalizing, but it's true of me, and I think it's true of many other women that we step up and make these sacrifices and we take on burdens, especially if you are partnered in a committed relationship or long-term relationship. You start taking on things like housework. And because it's like, oh, well, I want a clean house. Meanwhile, especially if you have a male partner, and again, I'm generalizing, but I'm just talking about my experience, you know, they'll just relax and say, oh, I don't see a problem with it. Yeah, it's a problem. I'll get to it later. And as an aside, a good cure for this is to just say, okay, well, if you can't help me with it, I will hire someone to do it. Because sometimes when money's on the line, it motivates people. And if it doesn't, you just say, okay, I'm taking this out of household money and I am going to hire someone to trim the hedges because you haven't, or I'm going to hire someone to do a deep clean because the house has just gotten beyond me, or I am sending out the laundry because it's too much for me to do right now. Um, don't take on burdens and sacrifices that no one else has asked you to. And also set expectations. And it's not like, you need to start as you mean to continue. That's great. You can't always go back. But the attitude to adopt is one of, I am taking charge of me. And I am not going to waste energy on being angry where I don't need to be. I'm just going to keep it focused on myself. I'm going to get the help I need. That's a good expectation to inculcate. Just it's going to be a part of you. Like you are respected. You are going to get the assistance you need. You don't have to bully people into doing it, but just project this image of, I get the help I need instead of I do it all myself, because it's usually a recipe for failure and unhappiness. Next, put your energy into what actually nurtures you. You may need to be more self-centered than you're comfortable with. Some people are great at putting themselves first and just asking for what they need or just acting in their own interests first. And I'm not saying that you have to be a selfish monster, but quite often for those of us who overgive and have martyred ourselves in some way, when you feel like you're being self-centered, you're just starting to have the normal self-concern that any healthy, balanced person would have. So I encourage you to put your energy into what nurtures you. Expend less time, and I apologize for a bit of background noise if you can hear it. Um, put energy into what nurtures you. So I'm going to use like news shows for this. You can stay informed without endlessly ruminating over things that anger you, that maybe you can't directly affect, or, you know, you can't really consider how you can be a real agent of positive change because you're so busy being angry. But put energy into what nurtures you. So if you know you're nurtured by, just sitting in an easy chair and reading for half an hour, do that. If you know doom scrolling for the same amount of time drains you, don't do that. And it's easier said than done, but once you are resolved to do it, it's far easier to just snap to. So if someone or something drains you, pull your energy back from it and redirect it into what nurtures you, right? Sometimes it just feels like you're doing something wrong when you start doing that. But I mean, that's part of what got you into this mess in the first place, is the overgiving, is the taking on more, is the putting your energy into spaces where it's not needed. Determine, consult your intuition for this, but you can just ask, where do I need to apply my energy? And also, it's helpful to, and maybe I'll do an episode on this, on calling your energy back from places where you have poured and poured and poured it, and it is not benefiting you. You need to even just, I'll just do something quickly here to just visualize yourself, protected behind an energetic shield, but any energy that is beneficial to you that is floating around out there, just imagine it coming back to you. It can be like pets or barnyard animals coming home after a long day, or just feel it seeping back into you and building you up, right? I think part of what leads us to these spaces where we need to make a radical change and be angry and take charge is because we are so depleted. It's like we're shells of ourselves, or like we're Swiss cheese versions of ourselves, because the holes are created by us giving resources, be it time, energy, love, trying to fix people or fix situations that aren't ours to fix. That just creates holes in our psyche and our aura and our energy, and it drains you. So put your energy into what nurtures you. And finally, do the steps above, the ones I mentioned. And while you're doing it, monitor your feelings, energy, and intuition. Now, how are these changes landing? There may be resistance from within and without, right? But if you stay in your high, clear, fine energy, your energetic five state, and I have an episode about that, so please look it up, then things will adapt around you. It may not be perfect, but you will get to where you need to be. And there's no time like the present. Last year was great, but today is even better because that's what we have. That's really all we have, right? So I encourage you to take control of your life without being controlling, because in truth, the only person and thing you can control in this world is you. And believe me, that's a message I have to reacquaint myself with every day. If this has been at all helpful to you, please like, share, and subscribe. I would love to spread the word and help more people. And in my free private community, Pathfinders, I am doing a 2 week challenge. We just finished the first week of energetic spring cleaning. And it's more of a reset than a challenge, but we're just identifying the areas in life we want to change. So, like 2 or 3 tops. And then we are doing one thing per area each day, a small task each day to move ourselves forward. And, we just check in daily. So there's a bit of accountability. I help you through intuitive guidance get over your hump, get you unstuck so you can keep going and just have the life you want. So if that sounds good to you, sign up. Information for Pathfinders will be in the script notes for this episode. If you need more information, feel free to leave a message or DM me. In the meantime, I am sending you so much love. I invite you to change with grace and ease. Make it easy on yourself. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye now.